Hi, my name is Adriana, and I'm going to go over the terms of service for Rover. So, the reason that I want to address this is because I feel like a lot of people don't understand how Rover is set up and what those terms are as a sitter or as a pet parent. So, I have been on Rover for about 3.5 years, and I don't remember if I did read the terms of service when I did sign up for it, because I had been on the platform even before I started doing these services. So I'm not actually sure when I joined the platform. But I was not aware until recently about certain things that are included in the terms of service because it can be a little confusing. And I guess I didn't realize how unprofessional some of the sitters on this platform can be. So, the biggest thing I think that is unclear about Rover is the coverage. Um, I was under the impression that this was insurance and that it would cover damages done to the pet owner's home. And I assumed that this was damages done by the pet. But that is not true. And it is very limited what is covered. And it says in the terms of service that this is not insurance. And I was also not under the impression until recently that you should have your own insurance as a pet sitter. Now, after hearing this, it makes total sense, but for some reason, it had not occurred to me that that was necessary because I thought that Rover's insurance was the minimum that you needed and that that was covering you. I was also not aware that if a pet escaped on your watch, that all responsibility would fall back on you. And so you not having that insurance would leave you open to a lawsuit, I assume. So, what I'm going to do, because I did read through these, but I can't remember everything exactly that it said, and I want to make sure that I cover it entirely, is I'm going to try to summarize so this isn't as long and wordy, but read certain portions that um, need to be cited for emphasis or to explain what it's saying where I'm a little unclear what exactly the terminology means. Okay, so to get to the terms of service, you would go to the settings tab. I'm obviously looking at this as a sitter, so it may be a different button if you are on there as just a pet parent. But if you go to their terms of service, we have okay, clarifying that Rover is a wait, I lost traces. Essentially, it is a platform that is used to find, communicate with, and interact with each other. They specify in these terms of service that Rover does not provide any direct services and that everything that is done, all interactions, all services are completely independent, basically, from Rover. So they do not guarantee any standard for the services performed and are leaving it entirely up to the requester and the sitter to vouch each other or vet each other. So it is up to you as a pet owner to determine if the sitter that you are requesting is I can't think of the word, is, responsible enough, I'll just use that word, responsible enough to take care of your pets. And as a sitter, that the person is trustworthy, that's probably the word I was looking for, but trustworthy enough to pay for the services that they are requesting, and that they are going to possibly leave things in the, on either end, that they are going to leave things the way that they are saying. So if your pet sitter tells you, yes, I will be here at this time, or I will do this extra thing, or I will clean up after myself, or something like that, that they will do that, and that a pet parent is going to do certain things that they said. So if they tell you, like, I'm going to leave a leash out, that they will leave a leash out, those sort of things, that you believe that that is going to happen, so that you don't have complications occur. And so that's also why Rover, at least they tend to claim, that they do not want you to exchange personal phone numbers with these people until you have already booked the service. Because if you provide your phone number, then they could bother you, they could potentially, stalk you or something like that. So that is why they are claiming that they are doing that to protect your privacy and your personal identification information. However, going off of that, when I read through this entire terms of service, well, mostly all of it, I did not actually see where it is mentioning about this personal information. So I was under the impression, because I've had people try to send me their phone number before I've had the meet and greet, and Rover will immediately block the phone number out, and it will have a pop-up that says, do not give out this information until you have booked the service, which I took as, you can give out that information as long as the service is already booked, and that they do not want you to book any of these clients that found you through Rover off of Rover. Now, I think I had a pop-up that said that. But I could not find it in the actual terms of service. Now, someone else here on YouTube, and I don't remember her name, but I can link that video below, mentioned that their service terms state that you are not allowed to message people independently and not through the Rover app at all, or else they will delete your account. So I'm going to say take that with a grain of salt. Maybe that was a past terms of service and they have since updated it. Maybe I missed it when I went through this, because I did skip certain sections that did not seem necessary for me to read. So from now on, I'm going to be, just very careful about that. And I just want to let you know that that is possibly what the terms are. And so Rover does have the authority to delete your account at any time, for, I want to say any reason, but I think that it did say in these terms specific reasons that they would delete your account. But I know that that is one. If you continue to provide your phone number to people who have not booked you, I know that they would probably deem you and delete your account. Not related to the terms of service, but in order to do that protection of your phone number, they do mask your phone number. So it's nice that you do not have to open up the app to see your text messages. It will show up as a regular text message, but any phone number that you see is not the real phone number of either the pet parent or the sitter. So that is something to be aware of. So essentially, Rover is trying to protect themselves in their terms of service, that anything that either party does not fall back on them, and they are not responsible for it. And I understand why they would do that, because it would be very hard to keep track of everyone who is on Rover and to take responsibility for things that people do that they have no real oversight for. However, it is very risky for that purpose because they do not have any real responsibility, which means that they are more likely to allow irresponsible people through the cracks. And as someone else said in another video, which I could also link below, because these are things that I started to watch and really made me think, is that people are more likely to leave positive reviews, which could make people seem more responsible than they are. Because if you have a negative experience, if you leave a bad review, there is the possibility that a sitter could try to come back on you because they have your address. If you gave them your personal phone number, then they would have your phone number. And if you did not give them a physical key that they returned, well, one, they could keep that physical key. And two, if you gave them a code, unless you change that code, they could get into your house and do something to get back at you for a negative review. Now, that does seem extreme because you would have their name and you could report them, to the authorities. That was something that had not occurred to me, because you are putting yourself more vulnerable through these interactions because they know your address. And that also goes for anyone who's doing boarding services. Then the pet owner would have your address, but they wouldn't have access to your home the same way because you wouldn't be giving them a key or other means of access into your home. So let's see. They are required to get payment from the pet owner before services are completed. However, we also note that as a sitter, you should always make sure that you are going to get paid for a service before you perform the services. So, for example, if you have a drop-in sitting there and they have not confirmed, no, usually I would not do that service. However, if it is a routine, reoccurring service or someone that is your regular, you may do that service anyways because you trust that they are going to pay it. However, there is a chance that they would not do that. And so you're putting yourself at risk if you go do that service without it being confirmed. Now, I will say that if it is a house sitting, I believe if it is not confirmed before the day of the service, you will not get paid. But if it is a drop-in and they confirm within a certain amount of time, you will still be paid for that service, even though you did not complete a check-in. Now, I was told that by customer support over the phone. Again, I do not know where that is in these terms of service. Let's see. Okay, so we have that there is a help center. I've not clicked on this yet, but it does have guidance on there for how to make informed decisions about engaging with service providers. So as a pet parent, what signs to look for to know if somebody is actually responsible enough to watch your pets. But a concerning thing on here, although I understand, again, why they would put this in place, is that if you as a pet owner put your pet in the care of a sitter and you do not retrieve your pet after the time that you stated, the sitter has the authority to get rid of your pet in the means that they see fit. So this could be taking your pet to a new home or to animal control or something like that. So I can see how there would be pet owners who might do this in order to get rid of a trouble pet that they no longer want. And so they could just abandon their pet with the sitter, and then the sitter is stuck with the pet and has to do something, right? So then they have this legality that they have the right to do that. However, this also is concerning on the pet owner side because say you are going on a trip and your flight is delayed and you're going to come back like a day later, the sitter would have the right to do something with your pet even though you are communicating with them, and even if you're willing to pay them extra to watch that pet longer. The legality here is stating that you did not arrive on the time that you said, and so the sitter has that authority to get rid of your pet. Um, there is a lot in here. So I'm basically just going to point out things that are kind of troubling and things that would be possibly misunderstood. Okay, I think that was all stuff I did not read. Okay, so what I'm going to go into now is the Rover Guarentee, because this is the big thing. So the Rover Guarentee, okay, subject to all limitations, exclusions, and conditions of these guarantee terms. Rover agrees to pay the requesting party when a responsible party fails to pay for certain veterinarian expenses, as well as certain costs arising from pet owner property damage or personal injury to a third party. So, what's that saying is that if a sitter has to take the pet to the vet and the owner does not pay for the vet service and the sitter has to pay it, Rover will reimburse the sitter. And then if a third party, which they later describe as a person who is not the owner or their family or the sitter, but some bystander or their pet, I believe it did say their pet, would be covered. And that, I believe, is only direct injury, physical injury. Um, okay, so there's a minimum contribution, which means that if the cost is under this, Rover will not cover anything. So in the United States, that is $250. So if the vet bill is less than $250, the sitter will still have to pay that out of pocket. Okay, then in all caps, it says the Rover Guarentee is not insurance. These guarantee terms are not intended to be an offer to insure or an insurance contract and do not take the place of any insurance coverage you may have. To the extent any Rover user desire protection beyond the scope of the Rover Guarentee, they must purchase insurance. Okay. Okay, the cost for which you seek reimbursement must arise from injury or damage that occurred during the scheduled start and end dates of the booking. So, if something happened and then it resulted in something later, that would not be covered. The booking itself must be above $10 in the United States to be covered. And though I believe that is their minimum that you can charge for a service. Okay, the injury or damage for which you seek reimbursement must have been directly and proximately caused by the acts or omissions of a service provider. So later they state, so anything from natural disasters is not covered. Anything that would under normal conditions happen to your house are not covered. Any preconditions or conditions of a certain breed are not covered. So if your pet has like cancer, and then they have some issue come up from that, it would not be covered. Now, what I'm unsure about that is if your pet has to take insulin and the sitter gives your pet too much insulin and they end up getting hypoglycemia, or I always struggle how to say that. Would that be covered because that was at the sitter's fault? However, that is also the insulin needing the insulin is a pre-existing condition, but the hypoglycemia is not. So that's where it's a little unclear where these terms blend in, with what's going on. It must be reported within 48 hours of the injury. If the pet sitter gets rid of their pet, reimbursement for that pet will not be given to the pet owner. They will not cover damage, injury, or loss from the care of an animal. Will not cover the care of any third-party animal. So I guess if you have other animals at your house that are not going through the Rover app, I guess that is not covered. Anything having to do with automobiles. So if you are transporting a dog in your car and you get in a car accident, the damage to the vehicle and any injuries to the pets would, I assume injuries to the pets as well, would not be covered. Natural disasters. This is where it gets to. So, this is not where it says it, but basically it says that any losses from the pets that are basically stealing from you or eating your food or something like that is not covered, which means that basically the sitter would be able to have free reign without you getting any reimbursement for your losses unless you try to file your own lawsuit against them. And somewhere down further, it specifically states that they will not cover any emotional losses. So any emotional trauma or just hurt feelings. Like I assume that means if you need to go to counseling or something afterwards, or if you're just seeking compensation because of the emotional toll that what you come back to has taken on you. They will cover injuries, but injuries to the pet and veterinary services, but they will not cover orthopedic conditions. So musculoskeletal system with muscles, joints, ligaments, such as arthritis, will not be covered. Oh, anything coming from like ticks or fleas would not be covered. Or proptosis, displacement of the eye or eye socket, would not be covered. Any damages to your home caused by your pet is not covered. Any damages from the pet being boarded at your home would not be covered. Yeah, and any electrical data stolen from you, like photographs, drawings, any artwork that's damaged would not be covered. Anything with defamation, intellectual property infringement, advertising, or other personal injury claims would not be covered. So that is basically it. But as you can tell from that, the Rover Guarentee barely covers anything. And I missed it. Somewhere it says something about $25,000, which I think is like a maximum that they would cover or something like that. But basically, Rover does not give you any real protections. That is the main takeaway from this. And that as a pet owner, you need to really vet who it is that you are having come to your home. And the biggest concern I have about that is that there are quite a few people that will reach out to sitters looking for same-day service or sometimes immediate service. And they have not met this person. They have not even talked to this person. And they are in such a short time frame of trying to get someone to come to their home that they will probably just book the first person that they contact, which could lead to a very bad negative experience. And then as a sitter, that you need to watch yourself more closely than you would think, because Rover is not actually really covering you at all to help you when any complications occur during your bookings. So with that, let me know in the comments if there is anything else in the terms of service notable that I did not cover, and if any of this surprised you because you did not understand it, and let me know if there's any Rover specific topic that you would like me to cover next.